And, I was on with JJ Virgin yesterday. I don't know if you know JJ,
Yeah.
but JJ, her whole goal is to play big at 100. She wants to be relevant and she wants to continue to play big at 100, and she's going to,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because she's found that recipe. And you may look at her and say, "Oh, but it's so easy for her. She's thin, she's this, these, that, she's that." She works really hard for her health.
Oh, yeah.
Really hard for her health, and she's doing all the things.
Yep.
She's doing all the things.
Yeah.
And maybe you can't do all the things, and that's fine, but there are some fundamentals that are super duper important, and I think the main thing is to not follow that conventional prescription, because
Mhm.
that conventional prescription is the road to disease. Our entire medical system is built for failure.
Mhm.
Every single thing about training in the conventional medical world is, let's see when you fail, right? Doc, I don't feel well. I don't feel like my usual self. I gained weight. I'm not sleeping. I'm anxious. I'm depressed. Oh, well, let's check your labs. All your labs are normal. You're fine, right? And they just have you follow that line of fine until you fall off the cliff.
Yep.
Okay, now you have hypertension. Let's give you a pill. Okay, now you have diabetes. Let's give you a pill. And that's what it is. It's what it is. It's the
It
road to failure.
it's the pill for every ill model,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
they just compound. It's I can't imagine being a person in the world right now, that doesn't have some knowledge base about nutrition or exercise, or I'm always trying to empower my audience. I'm always beating my whole platform is about metabolic health because I'm like, without that, it's all bets are
That's
off.
right.
Like, you
That's right.
cannot have balanced hormones if you don't have good metabolic health, and you
Of
can't have
course
good
not.
metabolic health if you don't have muscle. So, and on around we go in circles. And I'd love to talk to you about that. I think that the message is finally getting out. I've heard you say it. Talk to us about not only avoiding cancer, breast cancer specifically, by having your metabolic health intact and strength training, but also what happens if you do get some kind of chronic illness and you have adequate muscle mass? How does that protect you? Do you feel comfortable talking about that? Because I've heard you touch on it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the bottom line is that our muscle mass is the thing that we have to protect at all costs as we age, right? And it becomes a tricky thing. It's really, really easy for kids to assimilate protein. And if they're active, which, like, quite frankly, we have an epidemic of childhood obesity now. So if kids are fed even a halfway good diet, they can figure it out if they're active. As we get older, we have a number of physiologic changes. And I'm going to speak more to women than men because it's really the focus of my education and my audience. As we get older and we approach 40, a lot of things are changing. First of all, we are making less stomach acid. So, as we make less stomach acid, our ability to extract, absorb protein, amino acids is diminished. And these are the building blocks for our muscle. So even if you could get by on a carbohydrate rich diet before and like a little bit of protein as you stop making less acid, the other thing that's happening in that age range is that we're perimenopausal. The villainization of estrogen has so harmed, damaged decades of women because we need that estrogen. That estrogen is tremendously important for our health going forward. We go from being someone who could probably do some cardiovascular exercise, eat okay, pretty clean, and we can maintain our metabolic health to we can't hold it together anymore. And by the time you lost muscle mass, you've also lost your metabolic health.
Mhm.
By the time you have replaced By the time you have fatty infiltration into your muscle and you've lost that muscle mass, you're insulin resistant. Those fat cells, they're not benign. They're not benign. They're secreting lipokines. They are highly, highly, highly inflammatory. And you've changed your chemistry. And a lot of things change with that. You have bone loss along with that. You have heart disease along with that. You have brain fog, recall issues along with that. You have depression, you have anxiety. These are very, very serious medical problems that if we were better at educating our people, we would have a lot less disease. Now, let's say that you know about that and you incorporated resistance training and weightlifting. And, let's say it's someone like you that knows about it. There's still a possibility that you're going to get breast cancer.
Mhm.
It might not be because you have metabolic dysfunction. 80% of breast cancers are a combination of metabolic dysfunction that lead to immune dysfunction. And we know that for 5 or 6 hours after you consume sugar, your natural killer cells are inactive, right? That is your surveillance system for cancer. So if you're eating a sugar bolus, a couple times a day, a yogurt for breakfast and pasta for lunch and something with, rice for dinner, these are sugar boluses on and on and on, and oatmeal the next day. And these are sugar boluses on and on and on. You're not going to have an immune system. And some people have genetics that can hold it together for some time. And some people are like me, or maybe even you, and we don't have a big bucket. Our ability to tolerate toxins is pretty minimal. So even though we've done the right thing and we have muscle mass and we have pretty good metabolic health, what about mold in our homes?
Right.
25% of people lack the enzymes to break down mold. So, I can live clean.